Now, a really strong way that you can prepare for your next interview is to understand and anticipate the types of questions that you may be asked. So what I'm going to do here is just talk you through the 5 most common types of interview questions, just so you know what they are, which will help you decide and choose your own game plan as to how to approach them. So the first type, and really common type of interview question, is competency-based. These are the types of questions where an interviewer will ask, tell me about a time when you've delivered X, Y, and Z. What did you do and what was the result? So tell me about a time that you delivered great project management. How did you approach it and what was the end result? These types of questions are used by interviewers to not only test your knowledge, to test your experience, but it's a great way for them to understand more about you, how you approach things, how you think. By explaining and giving that time that they're giving you to answer this question, the hope is, from an interviewer's point of view, that they glean what kind of a person you are and a bit more about your personality. So these are testy questions, but they're delivered in a competency-based way. And it's in these kinds of questions that they often ask for your response to be in line with a technique like the STAR technique. What you'll find later is I have an alternative technique that will help you answer competency-based questions with a lot more kind of natural impressiveness. Another type of question to anticipate and be ready for are technical questions. Technical questions in their very nature are more direct. They are literally testing your technical expertise or your technical ability. So it's the interviewer's way of directly asking you about your experience of a particular thing. So they may say something like, tell me about your experience of using this particular software or this particular system, something that's quite specific. So a way to anticipate this is to really understand the person specification and the job description, to really understand what skills they want and are looking for, and to have almost kind of your response to your ability to deliver on that. So technical questions are a bit more direct, but being ready for them will empower you and hopefully leave you feeling more prepared for those kind of questions. And actually, in the mix of an interview, technical questions don't make up like that much. It's very rare to get an interview that's purely technical. What you want is to be able to weave your expertise and your experience within your answers, and I'll be able to share how to do that in a later section. So in your next interview, it's very likely that you're going to be asked an open question. Open questions are exactly how they sound. They're the interviewer's way of opening up a discussion, a conversation, a dialogue, to hear your thoughts, to hear your perspectives, your experiences, your beliefs on the subject, the theme that they have put into that question. So if they've asked something like, why have you applied for this position? Why do you feel you're the best person for this particular role? What do you feel that you can bring to our organisation? Tell me about your experience of doing X, Y, and Z. These questions are open enough to hand the reins over to you to kind of go to town with answering the question. It's the interviewer's way of actually not boxing you in, but actually giving you the opportunity to sell yourself. So an open question is, I would love for you to think of it as your opportunity to really sing your praises and to really show them what you can do and your level of experience and expertise. Now, I have a structure that you can follow to answer any kind of open question, so you can skip to the section that explains that. But for the purposes of just explaining the different types of questions, open questions are just any kind of question that would more than likely have a question mark at the end of it. They're meant to be open enough for you to have that space, to have a bit of time to just explain your why, the why they should choose you. So I'm going to talk to you about hypothetical questioning. These aren't that common, but you know me, I really want you to feel prepared for all eventualities. So if I take you through this, hopefully you'll be prepared in case it comes up. So hypothetical questions are the ones where they're like, if this happened, what would be your response? They're used by interviewers as another tool to test the way that you think, the way that you approach things. They're testing your skills. Hypothetical questions puts you in a scenario, it puts you in a position, and it makes you it forces you to choose your response. And the interviewer is interested in that because they just want to know what you're going to be like in their organization, in their team, following their processes and their procedures. And they're trying to work out whether you align to what they are looking for. A hypothetical question may be something like, you're faced with this particular situation, a colleague in the team isn't delivering on their objectives and you're the manager. What are some of the first things that you would do? You know, they're putting you on the spot a little bit. To prepare for those kind of questions, what you really want to do is to really break down what skills they're looking for, what types of scenarios you're likely to be faced. And sometimes you can glean that from the job description, from the conversations that you might have had with recruiters, with the employer up to now. So if you know that they've brought in your role because it's part of a big restructure, or it's through a change in direction, or they've got a new strategy that they're focusing on, or you get a sense of what the KPIs and the targets might be that relate to your role, that sometimes helps to give clues about, all right, so I might be going into an organisation that has a lot of change, and there might be people that are really resistant to that, and they might want me to deal with those people and to manage the relationships, or they have really ambitious KPIs and they're looking for me to know what to do if it's halfway through the month and I need to, you know, drive more sales, or whatever it may be. They might ask a question to put you in a situation that's really, really likely to come up if you're successful in this role. Now, if you are getting ready to interview, you've already got the skills and experience to be able to manage these situations. So now it's just about tapping into the times that relate when you've done this, when you have managed in these scenarios. It's as much about just having that self-awareness and knowing how you do things, like what's your unique way of managing the various things that are on the person's specification for this particular role that you're about to interview for. So I really feel like I'd be doing you an injustice if I didn't quickly talk about what I call curveball questions or trick questions. They're those kind of questions that seem quite personal. They're the ones where they're kind of like, tell me about your weaknesses and your strengths, or they put the ownership on you to like divulge how you are and what the kind of the negative parts of yourself, or they just feel like really unnatural kind of questions. So first of all, with any kind of curveball question or tricky types of questions, one of the first and most powerful things that you can do is just to decipher why they're even asking it. There's always a reason. And the reason is usually around how self-aware you are. The interviewer likes these questions because they want you to know whether or not you've kind of got what it takes and whether you're aware of the things that you do best. And also, they want you to acknowledge that there might be areas that you might need a bit of more development in, and they want you to be like not oblivious to that. So it's always difficult because it's like a balancing act. You want to, on one hand, be able to say, yeah, I can do this, I do everything really well, and here's the proof and the evidence to back it up. But then you also want to be real. You also want to show that you're a human being, that you have areas of development, but in a way that doesn't put them off, doesn't give any kind of negative connotations towards you. You want to be able to put them both together and just have this wonderful answer. What I would say is curveball, tricky questions are another opportunity. They're another opportunity for you to go, this is me. This is how I do things. This is how I approach things. This is what I represent. This is what I'm about. And to actually feel quite proud of it. So the self-awareness piece comes with you understanding what makes you tick, what environments you thrive in, what situations you excel in, and knowing kind of your top skills and having those tangible examples of you at your best. You need that. But then it's always helpful to know what areas you could benefit from having more exposure to, if you will, or more investment or more time and more kind of energy to put into, and being able to kind of put that together. In terms of preparing for the different range of questions, trick questions, curveball questions aren't going to make up the whole of the interview. It might just be one. So all I would say is don't be afraid to show your true authentic self. Obviously have that level of self-awareness, because interviews are literally the test of self-awareness. So there's something that you could do to prepare for an interview, which would be very much about breaking all your strengths down and understanding why you're the wonderful individual, the unique, one-of-a-kind person that you are. And then just being unafraid and unashamed to show it. No matter what the question or whatever the interviewer's got up their sleeve, just having that confidence to know you've got this, you can deal with it. If there are any particular questions that you're like, I really don't know how to answer these, then that is what the next section is all about. I'm going to help you help you explain how you can approach different questions and a few techniques for how you can really position yourself really strongly. But don't be afraid of a curveball or trick question or hypothetical questions, competency-based questions. They're all opportunities for you just to show how aligned and how great you are for the position that you want next.